Tarot on the Wheel gratefully acknowledges the Gadigal and Wangal peoples of the Eora Nation on whose land this episode was recorded, and pays our respects to elders past, present, and emerging.
This is Tarot on the Wheel. I'm Michael. This is my co-host Regirock with a handbag. And before starting on the aces and this semi-deep dive into how I view the minor arcana, I need to lay out some ground rules about how I'm going to talk about the suits. Because there are resources that talk about pentacles purely as a money thing. There are ones that talk about cups purely as a spirituality thing. And while those elements are there, it's not the whole story. The way I view the suits and the elements that they associate with, they're not singular things unto themselves. By which I mean, they have a plane that they influence, and they have an intention behind them. So that combination of intention and plane is what drives how I understand their meaning. Pentacles and cups are the passive suits. Wands and swords are therefore the deliberate suits. Now, on the other axis, pentacles and wands are suits on the plane of existence, whereas swords and cups are suits of abstraction. And between those attributes, there is a very generalized meaning that can be derived from the cards and their participation in a spread. Each of the four aces only have one suit symbol on the face of them, which makes sense. They are the first in the line, if you're looking at it as a line. But remember, this is tarot on the wheel. So, because there is that constant turning of things, they are technically, for me, the cards that follow the tens. They are, and I'll get to this when I get to the tens, but specifically, they are the bud that grows from the trunk of the tens. At the end of this growth cycle for each of the suits, there is a completion, there is a germination, and this is the sprout. This is the first little pop-up out of the soil or out of the clouds. That little ember that flicks out of the inferno. The first drop from the storm. I chose this deck because it's the one that has the artwork closest to the Rider-Waite iconography that I own. And that's going to become very helpful going through these 40 cards and these 4 suits. Each one of these is more or less the suit in its sort of purest form. It's probably time to go through them individually. And there are two ways that I could go around the wheel. So when I say the wheel, I am speaking specifically about an idea reminiscent of the Native American medicine wheel, which would start in the east in fire, move to the south in the earth, progressing west to the water, and finally north to the air. Or I could go the other way around the wheel and start in pentacles. Now, pentacles for me are the passive existence. They are the things that are materially true even when you're asleep. It's your health, your money, your home situation. They are the things that are unique to one's physical experience in the world. And I say that deliberately because when I said they're the things that are true even when you're asleep, I mean they're the things that just are. It's different to wands, which are the deliberate existence. These are the things that you do. These are the choices that are made. These are the actions taken on a day-to-day and life-to-life basis. These are how you treat the world around you, how you manipulate and move it. Based on what? Well, presumably based on your swords, your thoughts, your words, what I call the deliberate abstraction. It's a point of view, it's a manner of speaking. These are the promises that one makes. These are the viewpoints one takes. This is how the world is seen. And along with seeing, we are also seen. And that is, for me, the cups, what I call passive abstraction. These are the ways in which one is perceived. So, for each one to be a germination of something, one has to consider what is the first step of being. We have to be born. We have to live somewhere. We have to have a body. We also have to make sense of that. And that is, for me, what the Ace of Pentacles represents. It's that first moment of being. And because it deals with the facts of one's physical existence, it could mean anything, really. So if it's the commencement of an exercise routine, not necessarily the wand aspect of it, the doing of it, but the fact of it. It's the what is your 1 rep maximum situation. The wands, the doing of things, that's where the work comes in. That's the determination, the drive. It's the desire. The swords are the planning of it, the sketching of the routine, the meal prep. And then there's the cups of it, the why it's being done. Is it for one's own self-image, or is it for the sake of others? A business proposition. Your pentacles will be your starting point. Your wands will be your networking. Your swords will be the actual plan. Your cups will be how you present yourself. It's the four sort of pillars of the creation of something new. And you can actually see this in other cards in the tarot as well. For instance, the Magician, traditionally the one of the major arcana. And if it can be seen, there in his hand and on the altar are the four suit symbols. So when considering the meaning of the Magician and how it's the card immediately after the Fool, that leap into the unknown, and therefore the gathering of one's tools and abilities to manifest what is being sought on this journey. Each of the four aces are therefore each of the four tools. It's what you have, what you do, what you plan, and how you're seen. Cups in particular can be tricky because some people call it spirituality, some people call it family, community, but I think at the heart of all of that, for me, it's just connection. Whether it's connecting with the people around you, connecting with the God of your understanding, or even just connecting with yourself, memories of yourself, or anxieties about yourself. Those to me are the cups. It's how we are seen by others, including ourselves, at different points in our lives. So, to go on the path of the tarot, as I call it, you start in what you are, move on to what you do, what you say, what you feel. To go on the path of the wheel, you start in the absolute youth, that learning, adolescence, that growing, adulthood, that connecting, and old age. The speaking, the stories that you tell of your life. And whichever way you go around it, there's always a card to come and a card to leave behind. Being that it's a commencement at each of the 4 points, it's worth remembering that, again, these are the cards that, in the circle of the numbers, they follow the tens. When a 10 progresses, it's like a cutting from a plant being taken to sprout in new soil. So an upright 10 of Pentacles, that grand finality of a project or an endeavor, what you do with that dividend at the end, when it's finally reached its potential, is you take that little bit and you start something new. At the end of the 10 of Swords, when you're burdened with all of the thoughts and words of your past, what you do is you take one sword, you raise it up, and you follow it to its conclusion. To look at just the passive suits for a moment is to recognize that even in the traditional iconography, and in these as well, they're being held. They're being, or in this case, the capybara is being held by the cup, but it's gentle, it's effortless, it's merely existing in its own right. Whereas to look at the active suits, they are gripped, they're held aloft, and they are being brandished. These are very focused, they're very deliberate. Whereas to look at the existential suits, in both of them, you have the suit symbol being gazed upon by the capybara in question. Whereas with the abstraction suits, the suit symbol is not being perceived, as if to say that the suit symbol is not really there. And that kind of is where I'm going with these. They're meant to be sort of guides. Like, on their own, they don't really have a lot to say, but in a spread amongst other cards, it could be clearer what is being begun, or when they're reversed, what is being withheld. I look at the tarot and I look at what I sort of call the midpoint meaning of a card. Like, at its middle, if it was neither reversed nor upright, if it had to say the same thing about both, what would it say? For the aces, it is a commencement of deliberate existence. It is a thing that is growing on its own. And whether or not one is ready for that dictates whether it's going to be upright or reversed. An Ace of Cups is a new connection, a new way of being seen, with upright being I suppose arguably, for lack of a better word, favorable, reversed being possibly unfavorable or not yet time. And time is a bit of a big thing for me with the tarot. It tells whether that midpoint meaning has reached its moment or if it is yet to come. Upright and reversed for me is more like complete or incomplete. The Ace of Swords is a new idea has formed. Is it upright? An idea worth pursuing? Or is it reversed? An idea ahead of its time or after its time? Is your Ace of Wands upright and the iron is hot and worth striking? Or has the iron cooled? Or has it not come yet? Do you need patience or do you need motivation? So, what happens after the aces is the twos, which I'm going to look at next week. And that's where this idea of planes and intentions really starts to take shape for me, because suddenly you have two swords, you have two cups, and what happens when they both require equal attention? I look forward to finding that out. And if you lasted this long, then maybe you'll join my ramblings on the next one. In the meantime, thank you so much for letting me waste your time and mine, and I'll catch you next week.